Welcome back, baby. We are back. Lady J Meat Dudes podcast, man. We've been gone, huh?
Sup?
What's up? I'm Evan.
My name's Tyler.
And, man, so much has changed since the last episode of Season 1. We stopped doing it because we actually opened up a bakery coffee shop about 10 miles away down in South Park.
Got a little busy.
Got a little crazy there. So that's why you don't see Chef Charlie. He's down there crushing some pastries right now. But we thought we needed to bring this back, talk a lot about meat. Hopefully you guys missed us. And we've been getting the question a lot. A lot of people have been saying, hey, if I buy a half a cow, what does that really entail? And
Which sounds like a large endeavor.
Yeah. How many pounds? What, about 350, 400 pounds?
No, 450.
450.
Yeah.
Of actual meat.
Yeah, I just committed to a half the other day. So it's coming in a couple weeks.
So a lot of people, that's a lot of meat, for your average American, right?
As it turns out.
So, we thought we could talk about splitting it up because a lot of people ask, like, hey, can I get a quarter and can I get a half? And you can't really get a quarter because you can't really split up. You can't just take the best parts and then leave the butcher with the rest of the parts. So the best thing to do is get a half, split it with your friends. And so we thought we'd kind of do a fantasy football draft style of picking our favorite sections and talking about how we'd utilize the whole animal and what section we'd pick and go for first. So we'll leave it at that, right? I mean, we should just pop into it, man. We flipped a coin.
Yep.
And
I get first pick.
Tyler gets first pick
in the draft.
So it's going to go Tyler, then it's going to go me, and then I'm going to start off the second round. It's going to go me, and then Tyler.
Just like a snake
just
draft,
like that
if
snake.
you're familiar with the fantasy football dork world.
Yeah, just like that game we used to play in middle school, high school, on our phones, on the Nokias, a snake.
You had a razor flip phone.
No, man. No way. All right, let's get into it. So we just bought a half beef. Just came in. You're about to butcher it up. You get first pick. What is Chef Tyler picking first?
I'm going rib primal.
Going rib section.
Come on.
Of course.
The number one pick.
Right? The quarterback right there.
Yeah, that's it. So because I'm a ribeye dude.
Yep.
That is my all-time favorite, although people make fun of me because of the tenderloins and the whatevers. But if I had to pick a steak, it was going to be a ribeye.
So what comes into that primal? Why'd you pick it?
Well, because you get you can yank the dino ribs out of there. You can get tomahawk steaks out of there. Of course, all the ribeye steaks out of there. You got flanking ribs out of there.
Oh, yeah.
You get your Korean barbecue. Kind of rolling down into the short rib area.
Okay.
But for those of us who are the steak, I want a steak.
Yeah.
You're going to get a ribeye.
And how many of those are you going to get?
There is 7, depending on where you get your meat cut. It's 7 or 8 bone center rib primal.
Ooh, yeah.
Right? So ours are from preservation and pure country are 7 bones.
Okay.
So in those 7 bones, the shapes move, kind of like dissipate as the bone goes through the body. So you only get really 3 or 4 true tomahawk steaks out of there for the drama bone. That's everybody's bringing to the barbecue and swinging it around like they're.
That's what we like, man.
They show up to the party like, yeah.
So 3 tomahawks out of that. Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's cool. And then you're probably cutting the rest off the bone, maybe.
Yeah, probably. And I would cut. So when you cut the tomahawks, they're around. You cut right down the center of the bone, and those are about 3.5 pounds a piece.
Okay.
So then when you take the bones off the other end, more towards the sirloin or the New York side of the ribeye, then you start to portion those steaks out. And I usually portion those out into a pound.
Okay.
About 16 ounces.
Okay.
So then I get 3 or 4 really nice bone-in ribeyes, and then I take the bones off. And those are technically back ribs. That I try to put in the case all the time, but nobody knows how the gems.
You got to call them pork or beef baby backs. Right?
That's what
beef
we
baby
call
backs.
Beef baby backs.
That
That might do it.
Yeah.
So and then you got all the fatty ends on those bones where you're going to cut those into dino ribs, the 1, 2, 3A, or flankins if you're familiar. It's cut and cross the other way, so there's the 3 or 4 little bones in the flankins. fatty, short ribby looking meat.
Yeah.
It's fucking delicious.
So good.
They're bonkers good.
So that rib primal, man, you're getting a ton of good juicy steaks out of that rib primal. That's obviously why it's the number one pick. It's probably going to be the number one pick for most people. So good job on that, man.
It's fun to break
good
down.
selections. Yeah,
Of course.
You know, so I get picks 2 and 3. So
this will be interesting.
right. So I'm picking the chuck, and I would never have done that probably before I met you guys because first of all I didn't know what was in the chuck.
I'm glad you said that. I was going to say that how far you've come as a meat connoisseur since we started this
an elite meat
adventure.
As
a
TikTok
meat
would say.
adventure.
So the chuck, comes right from that shoulder. It's before the ribeye, and so I first of all we could take that whole chuck roll, and I would probably have you take the zabuton off, of course, cut into those zabuton steaks because those are the best things that we sell.
Everybody's
in the
favorite.
That's just the best. Of course, the Delmonico's, the mini ribeyes, because then it starts with the Delmonico here, and then it goes into the ribeye. So it's right before the ribeye starts. So I'm taking those Delmonico's.
You only really get 3, maybe 4
Okay.
12-ounce steaks out of there.
Yeah.
To be
They're
honest.
so good, though.
Oh, yeah, delicious.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good. So what else? We got the chuck eye. So I'll probably give that to my wife, and she would roast it because she likes to roast meat.
Roast, you
know.
could stew it, cube it.
That's great stew meat. A lot of people ask for
great
that stew
stew
meat,
meat.
man. I don't. Yeah, we gotta do that. The flat iron. I just took home some Wagyu flat irons.
Flatrion.
The Flatrion. So I get that out of the shoulder, the chuck.
Second most tender cut on the animal.
Oh man, and I'm just grilling that.
Straight up.
I'm just grilling that.
Yeah.
And like we talk about, my wife actually likes that steak because I grill it to about medium well for her.
Yes.
And it's still tender. And that's
Little
awesome.
known fact of the Flatrion, not only is it the second most tender cut, but it's also that cut that you have people in your family that want a mid-well steak or a well-done steak.
It's perfect.
God fucking forbid.
It's
But
perfect.
it's still going to stay tender,
Yeah.
and you don't demolish the shit out of it. It's still
Yeah.
good. It's
I love
juicy.
It's so flavorful.
So good.
I got the Terrace Major. So that's also the petite filet.
Mhm.
I cooked some of those up a few months ago just on the grill. And just,
So
with the
yummy.
bovine or salt pepper. God, they're so meaty. They are minerally. You kind of talked about that. How
I
you
call
get
it
that beefy
if
minerally.
like when you were a little kid and you fell off your handlebar of your bike and bumped your lip. You just get that little
Yeah.
teeny tinge of blood.
Yeah,
That's how I consider the terrace flavor.
Man.
It's so good.
that's good. Sarah has a spirit that she pours that has that little blood.
Oh, yeah?
flavor. Yeah, it's freaking crazy, man. We
Sick.
gotta bring her back on this thing.
Is that why she has vampire teeth?
And then, I put the ranch steaks in the chuck as well.
Yep, that's Charlie's favorite.
I would, I don't eat the ranch steaks unless they're Wagyu. Call me
Wagyu,
an
baby.
elitist, but, they're your everyday steak. They'd be great to just kind of grill up and maybe put on a salad or something like that. You could do that. But the Wagyu ranch steaks, look crazy, man.
Bananas.
So that pretty much wraps up the chuck. You got the chuck short ribs I could do something with. I could,
Good. Those are
braise
nice,
that.
little English style cut.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Those chuck short ribs. My wife loves those too. So for my first pick of the second round, I'm going with the loin. I'm going with that short loin. So right behind the ribeye, down the cow, where you get your New Yorks, you
Yep.
get your porterhouse, your T-bones. The tenderloin is in there as well. So I might think about cutting the porterhouse.
Yeah.
And you say you're a ribeye guy. I think I was a ribeye guy, but I think I've been kind of slowly moving to the New York.
Because it's meatier.
It's
It's a
meatier.
little bit more toothsome.
I think so. Sometimes I hate to say it. I think the ribeye can be almost like too thick and fatty. Like kill me, roast me, right? But I just love just a nice 3/4 inch thick New York.
It's delicious.
It's perfect, man.
It's
with the
delicious.
fat cap too.
Oh, of
I've got
course.
to have the fat cap. I
Yep,
love
yep,
fat
yep.
cap. But if I'm going to cut that porterhouse, what do I need? The tenderloin so the porterhouse is the New York and the tenderloin.
Yeah, and technically there's only 4. I think the tenderloin has to be 1.5 inch minimum.
1.25, yeah.
1.25 minimum per cut. So
Yeah.
as that tenderloin kind of dissipates in its muscle size,
Yep.
that's when you lose it. So you got that. It's almost like the center cut, New York and tenderloin.
Yeah. So you're taking that bone and you're just
Yeah.
going right. You're
Yeah.
just going right.
Yeah.
Not through it, but you're going right down next to it. and you've got your New York on one side and your little tenderloin on the other. Oh yeah,
Beauties.
that sounds good. How do you cook that? Like it's gonna be hard.
You
right?
know, a lot of people, like, if you go steak Florentina and in Italy, you always put the bone down on the grill first. So with the theory is that you're heating the bone, because those of us that cook bone on steaks, you know that the outside of the muscle is going to cook faster than where the bone is, because the bone is that dense. It's coming out of the fridge, so it's cold.
Yep, true that,
right?
true that.
So you have to heat that bone technically as unless you want some rare bits next to your mid-rare bits or whatever.
So you're just going. So here's your New York and your
You
tenderloin.
just set it on the grill with
Really?
them sticking up like that.
Really?
And you heat the bone, and it kind of starts to warm everything sort of
That's
together.
Cool. Okay.
And then you can flip
And
it
you
on.
kinda hit it?
Yep. Get after it.
Get it to that, because really, I mean, you want to cook your tenderloin to 120, maybe 125.
Yeah.
In your New York, I'm going 125 to 130 on my New York,
Yeah.
probably.
So you gotta be crafty with it.
Yeah.
Probably fool around with your grill and your hot spots and
Yeah.
moving it around and all that kind of goods. But
Okay.
the coolest thing for me for presentation wise is that when you do present it, you can slice everything off, lay the bone, and then slice the steak and put it right
Put it
next to
right
where
back.
it used to live.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so cool.
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
Yep.
Yep. So I don't know. I'd probably do the porterhouse and the T-bones. But T-bone is just a porterhouse that has less of a fillet on there.
fillet, yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I probably would do that just because I want to cook them both together. I like that. I probably wouldn't have you pull out the tenderloin by itself. But yeah, the loin would definitely be my second pick. Moving down the animal, you're still getting some really nice tender cuts in there.
You still could actually pull a little bit of that chunk of the tenderloin out if you wanted to. If you wanted just to take
Like
the
one
porterhouses,
Okay.
and then you could take that rest of the tenderloin out and then cut the New Yorks.
Okay.
So you'd have like a nice little, probably pound and a half-y,
Ooh.
roasty.
Little roasty fillet.
Or you could dice it up and make Evan's all-time favorite steak bites.
Steak bites,
Steak
man.
bites.
Dude, nothing better, dude. Nothing
Steak
better.
bites.
All right, man. So that's my pick. So your
I'm
second
up.
pick of the second round. What you got going on here, man?
Sirloin.
So where's that? We got the ribeye, the short loin, and then you got the sirloin behind it, right?
All continual muscle, right? From the chuck eye to the rib eye to the New York or the strip, and then to the sirloin,
Nice.
which includes my kind of new favorite is top sirloin.
I know, man.
Dude, it's fucking good.
It's good,
Like,
dude. Hey, shout out, truthfully to Chef Charlie, man. He brought that in and was
Yep,
like, "This is
yep.
the shit." And
Chuckles was like, top,
Ah, man.
top sirloin.
That's good. That's
and we
good.
cooked it last night for one of the sandwich specials, and like, I just cube it out and kind of
So
like
good.
into almost like eye of round size, so like
Yep.
2.5, 3 pounders, because the muscle itself is only around like seven to 9
pounds?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's a couple different pieces of sinew that run through it,
Yep.
and I peel out some of that meat and put it into the grind for burgers or whatnot.
Yeah.
But dude,
Yeah.
like,
Dude, I took a
mid rare
bite of that.
and just sliced nice and thin, like not even crazy thin, just like 1/4 inch slices.
Yeah.
Fucking melt in your mouth.
Just with the house bovine rub.
Shit's good, dude.
Dude, it was so good. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I tasting right now? Like,
Delicious.
it almost, like you said, rivaled like a smoked tenderloin.
It really does,
It
dude.
was so good.
Yeah, maybe put the black rub on it next time. See,
Oh, that'd be cool. And talk about
Do a
like
little
bang
side
for
by
your
side.
buck too,
Oh, dude,
right? Like
yeah.
if you find like a great wagyu
exactly.
top sirloin
I
instead
mean,
of a tenderloin. Ooh.
Preservation had to move some wagyu. They
Yeah.
were like, I got these, and I'll give you a deal on them. I'm not going to tell you how much I paid for them, but if you go to the store and get yourself a top sirloin steak, you're going to pay, $10 a pound, $12 a pound for
Yeah,
it, whatever.
probably.
And you go to get a ribeye at the store, you're going to pay $35, $40, depending on where you get your ribeye.
Yep.
Sometimes $45 a pound for
Yeah.
a ribeye.
What do we
Like,
do here? 32?
32.
Yeah.
Yeah, 32 for ribeye all day. Top sirloin, love it. Bottom sirloin,
Yep.
not as much, but you start to get a little bit more of that working muscle in there, so it's a little bit chewier, but
Okay.
stewed and diced, and it's pretty lean, so if you have a fattier cut and a leaner cut to marry together and say like a burger grind or something,
Yeah, that's perfect.
where your chuck eye that you chose was generally 80-20, 70-30 all day for that whole muscle.
For that whole
That's
muscle,
why
okay.
the chuck is always the most perfect muscle to grind for burgers, because that's
Okay.
kind of what you're looking
That's
for,
what
right?
you're looking for, yeah.
80-20. So everybody's favorite in Brazil is the picanha.
Yes, yeah.
We call it the French call it the culotte.
Yeah.
We call it a top sirloin. No, sirloin cap.
Sirloin cap, yeah.
Sirloin cap.
Top of it sits on top of that top sirloin,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So it's got this beauty. It's like a beautiful little, like almost triangular, diamond-shaped, small muscle, depending on the size of the cow. And if you think about that big New York fat cap on the end, it kind of continues into that muscle.
yeah.
So, in Brazil, the asadero, those huge, crazy hot brick ovens, and they skewer it. So you get this meaty, fatty. It's almost like looks like a meat donut.
Yeah, like
Right?
it's like all circular.
And
Yeah.
then you skewer it.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
put that sucker in there. Super dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're delicious. There is a really thin line of sinew underneath that cap, though.
Yeah, okay.
So when you're cutting steaks out of it, when I'm eating it at home, I render out that cap a little bit, and then I
Yeah.
slice little nibbits of the fat and the meat into just little strips. So you have
A little bite of fat
so you
with
get a
your
little,
meat.
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
dude,
I almost take it apart
that's
and
the
eat
gangster
one
way.
bite of fat and one bite of meat. Mark Fuller saw me one day like eating. I came in on my day off when I was
Dude.
cooking at Spring Hill. And I ordered a ribeye, and I immediately peeled the fat off the ribeye and diced it into little pieces. And he came over and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
That's how we do it.
And
man.
I was like, "Watch." And then I diced my ribeye and meat, and I was
It's like little butter bites.
Doink, 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 and by the end of it,
That's perfect. Oh
bite
man.
of fat, bite of meat, baby.
That's awesome.
Culotte's dope. Everybody loves culotte. Sirloin cap. It's really also that kind of more rich, minerally, meaty flavor, but you get that
A little bit like a
luscious
New York,
butter fat,
right?
yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
right behind it.
Yeah.
What about the tri-tip and the bavette? Is that part of that sirloin technically?
I mean, I guess so. Tri-tip, yeah. And, tri-tips are so versatile, so delicious. That muscle's great. One thing about the tri-tip that a lot of people don't know is that there's two different grains. And we
Yeah.
try to train everybody that
Still.
come in to buy it, or even the cooks that work here when we're doing tri-tip, it takes them a while to know that muscle is a roadmap,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh yeah.
You cut with the grain, that fucker's chewy.
It's
Eh,
chewy.
not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you can either, depending on your butcher, you get a fat cap on that or a fat cap off.
Yeah, okay.
And
A
the
lot
fat,
of
when
Wagyu
you
ones
do-
we get
all the
fat cap
Wagyu
on,
one
yeah,
has fat
right?
cap on because
Yeah.
that fat's gonna melt at start to melt at 70 whatever degrees. Right?
Yeah.
So that's where you get that luscious, buttery, fatty mouthfeel, where you're kind of taking on more of that thicker New York fat when it's not a Wagyu animal.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of depends on how you like it, but tri-tips are
good.
dope.
That's good.
I would say bavette, yeah, but I kind of consider bavette into that abdominal region.
Kind
I
of
give
flank abdominal.
I give
maybe?
him the flanker, the bavette, the flap meat, as it were.
Okay, that might have to be. Might change my decision down the road here
Oh,
of what I'm
geez.
picking.
Okay.
So okay.
Abdominals.
So what do you got next? So that was your pick. Now we're going back to you because we're doing snake, baby. So you got it.
Yep, I'm up. And I'm just gonna yank the brisket out.
Yeah.
Because I
You
mean
would.
that's a big chunker right there. That's, I think the biggest brisket I've ever seen is like a 27 pounder.
I think we've done one right when we did the raffle.
Dude. Yeah, that was a big one.
Dude, I'm glad you picked this because I don't have a device to
Right.
smoke that
so,
with. So
I mean, of course, everyone wants a Texas style brisket.
yeah. Yep.
Heavy black pepper, 2-to-1 black pepper to salt. There's different meshes. People get all nerdy about that shit. 14 mesh cracked pepper.
Yeah,
If
right.
you use fresh telecherry or peppercorns, which I slowly learned, but it's too strong.
Yeah.
It's so peppery. So when you're using, all the chefy nerds out there, they're like, "Oh, you don't use fresh peppercorns." Like, nah, dude, because the volatile oils that come out of those peppercorns when heated, just woo,
Just overdoes
spicy.
it. Okay.
Although I do, getting ready to rub 100 frickin' pastrami's today, right
Yeah,
after this,
yeah.
I do use fresh black pepper
'Cause that's
in
a-
that
your
because
pastrami in
it's
that, right?
it's 2-to-1 toasted coriander seed to
Yeah.
black pepper, so it's not that 2 pepper 1 salt ratio,
yeah,
so it's a
okay.
little bit more mild. But yeah, you use
Oh man.
cracked 14 gauge, I believe they call it.
What do you?
So
how you cooking it?
I'm just gonna smoke it. I'll trim it up.
Yeah.
We're gonna smoke it for probably, depending. So, general rule of thumb for brisket, when you have your proper temperature, 225, 250, whatever your smoker's doing. General rule of thumb. Sometimes you hit or miss, but it's an hour of cook time per pound.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna trim, say, 4 pounds of meat off that 27-pound brisket.
You're cooking it for a whole day.
So you're cooking that sucker for
Dude.
24 hours.
But that rule, I feel like, also throws people off when you hit like the stall.
The stall's killer, dude.
It
It
people are
kills
like, it's been on for
everybody.
11 hours. You know.
I actually, one of our customers that comes in, Steve, retired executive chef Steve, still
Yeah.
loves to cook. He's a wild man. And he always comes in, chef, I need a brisket. I need a brisket.
Yeah.
And he said he was so embarrassed because the last time he came in, I was like, how'd that brisket turn out, dude? He's just like, fucking stall killed me, man.
Yeah.
Everybody was waiting and waiting. It
that's
just
the
hung at
thing.
180. It hung at 180. It hung at 180 because technically you want to take your, your briskets to 203-ish. I mean, 208's going to just fall apart, but it's that
Jesus.
magic. You got to keep an eye on it. So once you get that 180, grab a couple more beers and sit down next to your smoker and do not leave it. It helps to get a probe and all those kind of things to work that out. But
What would you ask? What would you tell someone that, like, let's say you're like, okay, I'm planning my barbecue dinner at 6 p.m. What would you tell somebody to do to make sure you're not just like, okay, it's supposed to cook for 11 hours, so I need to start it at 7 a.m. and it's going to be done. Like, what would you tell somebody,
So,
like resting?
basically, this is where experience comes in.
Yep.
Right. Because you don't, showing up late to an interview, don't do it.
Yeah.
You might as well not show up.
Yep.
Showing up for a dinner party and the meat's not done, you might as well make some grilled cheese sandwiches,
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah. It's
So,
embarrassing.
Really, when I tell people about resting meat,
Yes.
it doesn't translate all the way through every cut, right?
Okay.
So, resting your meat half as long as it took to cook. You're not going to rest your meat for 12 hours when you're with a brisket.
Yeah.
Although when we do beef ribs
Yeah.
and also brisket, you're going to pull it out when it hits that money temperature, and that sucker's going to stay hot for hours.
Yeah.
As long as you take it inside, leave it on the counter, it's not in a cold area.
Yeah.
That thing's it will technically probably carry over cook a little bit also. But you're going to slow down all those juices, and honestly, I'm going to let my brisket rest for like 3 or 4 hours.
And that's
So
a
if
safe
you
bet,
time
right?
that
Yeah.
around when your guests are showing up, cocktail hour, past apps, I don't know how
Yeah.
you do it at your house, but
Definitely.
amuse-bouche all day.
Totally.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get it done before.
Yeah. And
Like,
so give
don't
yourself
go
at
don't
least
go
2
for
hours to
that-
rest.
Don't
right?
go for that money. Like, I'm gonna pull it out. We're gonna slice it right when you show up. No.
It's not gonna be done.
9.5 out of 10. You do not hit it.
Yeah.
You never know. There's so many variables. Temperature outside, how thick your smoker is, how big the steel is, how hot the fire's running, how wet your wood is, blah 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 blah. There's so many variables. So you always want to give yourself a cushion.
Yes.
You want to look like the superstar.
All right. So get it done 2 to 3 hours before. Let it
Brisket.
rest.
I'd also braise it.
you
That's
can
the
braise that
classic
too.
super pot roasty, classic kind of red wine, mirepoix, tomato product kind of. That's an all
Yeah.
classic
You
brisket.
guys do that real well, man.
We do that one.
All right. I'm up now. You took out that brisket. I was happy because that wasn't on my draft board because I don't have enough. I don't have a big enough thing at home to smoke that device.
Size queen.
So I'm gonna go with the short plate, kind of down in those kind of abdominals,
Mm-hmm.
because I like, so that's gonna sit kind of under the rib section, and I'm gonna go for those skirt steaks, the beef toro, which our guys at Preservation do real well. Also gonna get some short ribs out of that. Have a little bit of short ribs out of that. But mostly I'm doing it because I like the abdominals. So skirt steaks to me, man, I think I talk about it almost every single time, but like it's
Money.
It's just
So delicious.
so money. Man, we got this couple with their kids that comes in every single Sunday, just buys us out a skirt steak, man. Every time I'm like, "What's up?" They get some pastries and they're like, "Pull out the skirts, let's go." Because like,
Oh, that's good to know.
oh, dude, it's just like one of the most versatile cuts. Easy to cook. It's great grilled, which I just love to do. Just love to roll it right out and just grill that sucker.
It's also one of those ones that you can get away with cooking it to a mid-well and still be
It's
happy
totally
with it.
fine.
Right?
Yeah. Only thing I like doing, I like cutting, really, taking off some of that fat, cleaning it, because there are some big chunky fats
There is.
on there that like you got to take off.
There's some good ones in there.
Yeah,
Not
I
all
leave
that
it.
fat on there is
I leave it,
sinewy.
Yeah,
It's melty.
yeah.
It's delicious, but there is some chunks on there that are
There's
pretty
some
thick.
hard chunks. I'm like, yeah, got to get this out of there. And then the Toro, a lot of people aren't familiar with. It's like I always describe it as like a flank steak that's a little bit thinner and more marbled. So right from that belly,
Center of the navel.
center of the navel. Got to cut through a lot of crap to get to it, but I definitely think it's worth it.
It's dope.
And I love flank steaks, but and Toro just almost looks like a Wagyu flank steak.
It sure does.
And
And it's-
but it's thin too.
It's so versatile.
I like that.
Dude, you got so many different avenues of cook there.
Yeah. So with
You
that
could
short,
even like roll it up, stuff it and roll it up and
Stuff
do like
it,
a long roast on it. It'd
yeah.
be kind of fun.
so I'm going for those abdominals. I'm trying to take those out right now, and skirt and Toro for sure. And
Short ribs, no brainer.
I'll see if you leave me some short ribs because I know you're taking the rib section and you're butchering it. So hopefully you leave me some short ribs
You
down
can
there.
have one flanking.
Give me, hey, dude, I'll take it, man.
Here's
I'd
your
just be
2
grilling
ounces.
Toro, skirt, flanking, dude. I'd be
Oh,
just grilling the hell out of that.
That'd be a money.
Oh, that'd be
that'd
great
be a money
barbecue,
grill
man.
right there.
Yeah, and then for that, I don't gotta wait, so long to rest that. Right, I rest that for about 10 minutes.
Yep.
And it's ready to roll,
Yep.
man. So
That's an easy one.
all right. My next, I'm sticking low. I'm sticking the abdominals there, and we kind of, since the flank is kind of a smaller section, I'm gonna jump in and say I'm gonna take the flank and the shanks because we got a couple of shanks on there.
And
so.
they're technically kind of connected. in
Kinda
that little-
connected.
that little nook.
Yeah, so I'm going flank and shakes. Flank steak because I just love grilling. My dad still cooked the best flank steak I've ever had, like growing up. That was like his thing. It was like flank steak, baby. You probably get it from QFC, but like, damn, it was like so good every single time. He cooked it perfectly. I still like
What kind of style were you
Bro.
going? We're going tacos. or-
Yoshidas.
Oh yeah,
Teriyaki, baby. That's where I get my Yoshidas
my
love
guy.
from, man.
You know
Oh,
I've done it
dude.
before, right?
I know.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. Tell him that my dad kept him in business for years, man.
Costco
Costco Yoshidas. Probably.
gallon jug.
Oh man, but now I've matured a little bit, and I'd probably grab some bulgogi from here instead of the Yoshidas, or I'd make my own bulgogi, which I did once because we were out of it, and so I ground up some apples, some green apples in
Mhm.
there too. Toasted the sesame seeds.
Trying to give away the secrets.
I know, man. Should I not? We'll black that out. Don't
Some
worry.
people use. Most of the time, I think they use Japanese pear.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a Charlie recipe, so he put the green apple in there for a little more piquant,
No, that's pretty cool.
more
I like that,
sourness,
man.
a little tang to it.
All right. So I'm doing that. I'm grilling, man. I've just been grilling the last 2 rounds here. I love it. But then also the shanks. I might do a little ossobuco with those shanks.
Oh yeah.
We've done some birria before.
Yeah.
I'd probably try to ask you guys how to do that and try to make that because when you cook the ossobuco so perfectly, it is just fall apart meat. And that's what my wife loves, fall apart meat. I wouldn't tell her it's from the shank because she'd probably be freaked out
She'd
by
freak
it. 'cause
out by
I've
the
got that
bone.
big bone in there. She'd be like, what? But I'd pull it apart, I'd hide the bone, and I'd be like, check out this pull apart meat. And she would love it. Because it's so tender, but you got to cook that slow and low.
And why the ossobuco is so fucking money, because it's that working muscle. It has a crazy intense protein structure.
Yeah.
But it's the marrow.
The marrow.
The marrow in the middle of that bone. It's the money marrow spot.
Yes.
So that marrow melts down out of the bone into
Into the meat.
braise.
Yep.
And makes it just silk.
And so you get
Luscious.
so that ossobuco, you take the shank, right, and they
Yep.
just zip 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 just bandsaw it right down.
Huh?
Yeah,
it's
'cause
got
you're
a
not-
2-inch cut. If I could do it.
Yeah, that's
It'd be
not
a
cool.
workout.
Yeah, that's not
That'd,
cool.
That'd be the day.
All
Sore
right.
muscles.
All right, so I'm taking the flank and the shank. There's only technically one section left out of that half beef. So I'm leaving that to Tyler, and he'll talk about it here. What you got?
That's my kicker. I'm drafting my kicker right now.
What's left? What's left? Got a couple bench players. There's some good stuff on there. There's some good stuff.
Let's talk about eye of round, right?
So where's that at?
It's you kind of got to peel apart a bunch of different muscles in that round to get to the eye of round, and it's technically, probably 2-3% of that muscle, that whole round.
Yeah.
It's just a little guy. It's probably three pounder.
But we're talking about the whole back end, right? The whole round, the rump. So it goes chuck, rib, short loin, sirloin, round. And that's where you're in the back of the cow, so it's a little bit
so we got
tougher,
a lot of brazies here. We got a lot of roasties.
Yep.
You also trim some of that up and leaner meat into the grind of your burger or whatever you're doing there.
Yep.
The eye of round is super, super rad because, back in the Italian days, we used to make that into carpaccio.
Ooh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
So you just pop that sucker. So for me, I would kind of do like a really nice rub on it here in the LJ style.
Yep.
Smoke it rare.
Yeah.
Pull it at 120s.
Yeah. 120.
Chill it. And then slice it super thin so you could have like a smoked carpaccio.
Oh, that's cool.
Or you could turn it into a killer roast beef sandwich.
That's the thing. That's what I want to hear. That's
roast
what I
beef
want
sandwich.
to hear. Yeah. Roast beef.
And right now I'm sourcing out a Wagyu product of eye round to come up with like the dopest roast beef ever.
We need that.
It's gonna be butter.
We need that,
It's gonna
dude.
be butter.
We need that.
Top round, bottom round. There's roasties. That's all you kind of really get in those sections. There's no steaks out of that. You're chewy.
Yeah.
Right.
Why are they chewy though?
Because that's the think about all the working muscles and think about how big the rump is on a cow. If you look at a cow, like of course their bellies are really big and their head's really big, but their rear legs are huge.
Yeah.
Because they're moving. Those are some working ass muscles.
Totally,
So you get your ossobucos out of those rear shanks and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then also kind of throw that oxtail into that mix.
Yeah, right.
Right. So
you
when
got
we're
lucky.
talking about working muscles, those of us who are braise fans, the oxtail is where it's at.
Yeah.
And back in the day, I'm not going to date myself here. I don't want everybody that I ask thinks I'm like
In the
20
1900s.
thinks I'm 27. Back in the day when I started cooking, oxtail was garbage.
Yeah, right.
Dude, it was like 80 cents a pound. Right?
But now.
But now it's like, yeah, we'll get you an oxtail. $13.50 a pound. Like, what?
What?
The and there's one tail. But if you think about that tail, it's whipping all the time. It's moving all the time. It's swatting flies and doing all that shit. So between the vertebrae of that tail are all these sweet chunks of meat that just get crazy rigid and rich in moving protein structure.
Okay.
So then when you braise those down, it's straight up almost like a bouncy ball.
Yeah.
When you chill it. You braise
That's
it.
crazy.
You take and probably cut it into like 1-inch cuts or whatever, sear it, do the whole thing like an ossobuco.
Yeah.
You can just straight up braise it in red wine, straight up braise it in water, mirepoix. It doesn't really matter because that protein structure is going to be so rich.
Yeah.
That when it's done cooking, and you always cool your braises in the liquid, always, or they're dry. When you cool that and pull the oxtail out, it's going bang. Dude, it's like you can cut chunks.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we used to do this. Pick the meat, reduce the jus a little bit, and fold and pour the jus back over the meat. We pack it into a terrine mold.
Okay.
And then slice it almost like head cheese.
So you have with the oxtail in there?
All the meat in there
Oh, okay.
and the braise.
Yeah.
It's crazy, unctuous, just
Unctuous.
sticky mouthfeel. So we would slice it, batter it, and fry it. And have like this fried oxtail terrine with like this orange marmalade, arugula kind of salad deal.
Ooh, okay.
It was fucking good.
That's pretty fancy, man. For
I'm-
80 cents a pound.
I'm a fancy.
Back in the day.
I'm a fancy guy.
Man.
Yeah, oxtail. It's one of the. It's a gem, but good luck.
Yeah. Good luck getting
Good
it.
luck,
Yeah. Good
people.
luck getting it.
Somebody found out.
The fancy restaurants want it now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Garbage day.
Nope. Mountain Mist.
That kind of sums up
Yeah.
the half of the picks for the half.
So what happens? So like if they're selling the half, to half to two people over here and the other half to two people over there, what happens to the head? It doesn't get like
Nope.
split down, right?
No.
So what happens to the head?
The head gets lopped off, and the cheeks are taken out. And beef
course.
cheeks are super dope. They're big.
gosh.
They're huge.
We love
And
them.
we already talked about the working muscles. That's the workingest muscle,
Yes.
other than the tongue, which is the strongest
Oh,
muscle
yeah.
in the body. So you got tongue and cheeks.
Okay.
Tongue and cheek. That's it.
Yeah.
Can't eat the brains. People don't eat the brains. Some people eat the brains. I've read a lot of this and that.
Yeah.
Yes or no. And a lot of places they treat it as a delicacy. We eat pig brains. We eat lamb brains.
But
we used to have
beef
like
brains are different,
at the
right?
farm. We used to do this like lamb brains on toast kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like you paddle it with like fresh ricotta, like whatever.
Oh.
So no, that goes away. So you get the cheeks, you get the tongue, lips.
The lips, the cud. Yeah.
Those are gelatinous as all get out.
We know that.
Very odd, and that's a 24-hour braise, dude. That's going for like those are.
Oh, I've seen it.
You could hurt somebody with
It
one of
was-
those things. You just if it's not cooked all the way, it's like a
Oh,
rock.
I thought I uncovered
You're-
a nightmare.
You're boiling river rocks. It takes a while for those structures to break down, and they are gnarly looking.
Wow, dude.
So then a lot
really
of people
it.
don't like to talk about it, but the skull and blood and a lot of things that come out of harvesting an animal, the size, some of the intestines and all that stuff, that all goes into bone meal fertilizer for farming and gardening,
Yeah.
and a lot of it goes to cat and dog food
Yeah.
plants. So
Wow.
it gets ground and incinerated, gets kind of like into meal, honestly, just a powder. It's a bone powder. So
So
that
do-
gets folded into like dog food, cat food. So you see those beef
Yeah, right.
byproducts on the box of your cat food. That's kind
Wow.
of what it is. So don't dive into it too much unless you really want to, but
Yeah. I wonder what they do at our farm. I
your
mean, that
dogs are
sounds like
happy.
that's what they do at like big commercial farms where they got like 10,000 heads. They're just like,
we'll have to
get rid of
find
this
out.
stuff.
We'll,
yeah.
we'll
like, what
ask
do they?
and-
How do they
and
utilize
see,
it
but,
with our guys?
They, that's actually almost probably another avenue of revenue for some farmers is to
Yeah.
have all of their byproducts go off to a farm like that or a plant like that for cat and dog food or bone meal or whatever. That's probably another avenue for revenue for
Yeah,
them.
you're
'Cause
right.
farmers aren't always in it for the money.
Yeah.
It's a tough life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, man. Hey,
There you go.
Thanks for splitting that up and thanks for doing all the work, cutting it up too. 'Cause-
So next year when we do this, who gets? I mean,
oh, man,
is this
I don't know. This could be a thing. You know.
fantasy
Yeah.
draft?
Yeah. I think we should. We'll bring one in, and then we'll shoot it.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll do that. We'll do that next
Oh,
time.
dear. We'll bring in a special guest for that.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah,
a
we're gonna
little
need a
bit more-
couple.
a little bit more work
Couple
for
special guests.
talking about 450 pounds versus
yeah,
touching it.
That's not one that
That's a
that
longer
me and
day.
you can just walk in here.
That's a longer day. Well, I mean,
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Come on, bro.
Well, man, thanks for joining the Meat Dudes.
Yay!
We're gonna sign it off, and we're gonna be back a lot, coming back to you with a ton of beef talk. So let us know what you want us to chat about, and we're gonna be sharing a lot of different experiences and having some cool guests too. We got some cool guests lined up already
For sure.
that we're stoked about. So thanks, guys. Let's sign it off. I'm Evan.
Tyler.
Try